Hello, beautiful earbud coven. Welcome back to the witching half hour or so. I'm very excited today because I have the beautiful Reverend Terrie Brookins with me today. Now, she does all kinds of amazing stuff. I met her, I guess, 2 years ago now at Vancouver Pagan Pride. We are honored to have her travel the distance to come and be with us 2 years in a row now. So she runs Beaux Magique, which is my God, it's like boutique style magical stuff for practitioners that she hand makes. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about her spiritual path. She is a hoodoo priestess, which I'm very interested in. I don't have a background with that, but I have taken your candle magic class, which was so much fun.
Yes.
And I wanted to, my big takeaway is do not burn your house down.
Fire safety is a thing. The first two rules of candle magic are, number 1, fire safety. Number 2, don't burn down your house. I mean, once you have those two things down, it's kind of easy.
Mm-hmm. And I've done candle magic before, like in my practice. It's one of the ways I came to witchcraft. Right? The little candle magic book. I don't know what bookstore I got it out of years ago. God, maybe 30 years ago now. Your teaching really, it elevated a lot of that practice. So I thank you for that.
You're welcome. And it's mostly because we as a species of humans, we are fascinated with fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there are lots of people out there who says, "Oh, I've never done candle magic before." If you've ever blown out a candle on a birthday cake, you have done candle magic.
Mm-hmm.
If you have ever wished upon a star that is a flaming ball of something falling out of the sky, you have worked candle magic. So it's there, it's in us. We just have to remember it and reclaim it.
And it's in like so many cultures. One of the
Yes.
reasons I think I gravitate towards witchcraft is I was raised by a backslidden Catholic person. So I didn't get a lot of the strictness, just the beauty of going at Easter
Yes.
with my auntie. So the ritual, the incense, the lighting a candle, just I very much romanticized it. And now I am a witch.
Congratulations.
I escaped.
Yes, you did.
I escaped the guilt. A lot of my cousins do carry that. Yeah, but it's in so many, like candle magic is just, it's this vein that runs through all humanity.
It is. I mean, if we've ever sat around a fire just telling stories, we are participating in candle magic.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
Well, we have to remember that fire in itself is a creation of a cosmos. We're literally reenacting the creation of all that is when we make fire. We're taking all of these different elements, wood, other things that burn, and we are creating a friction, which is literally trying to combine these things, and magic happens. Something that we could never really think about for hundreds of thousands of years because we didn't know how fire came along. So here we are, we're creating this cosmos, and then we are literally feeding it our breath because fire cannot survive without oxygen or air. So here we are creating this fire, rubbing two things together, lighting it up, feeding it our breath. And if you are super safe, if you have a big fire, you put it out with water. So we have to remember that, the breath that we're feeding it is knowledge, the earth, and the fire itself is a foundation and creativity and passion. And then when we extinguish the flame, the big fire, and we quench it with water, we are literally bringing the wisdom, which is what water represents, to the creation, realizing that we can always create the fire again, but magic just happened and we now have to take the wisdom from that.
I love that.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. We just don't realize it. And I was talking to my priestess because everyone should have one.
Yes,
And
you
she
should.
says, yes, this is, I said, wait a minute, this is that everything is sacred stuff. She's like, yeah. I'm like, grr, grr. Everything is sacred. Nothing is technically mundane.
It is.
It's everywhere.
I'm taking I'm deep diving into a class right now about, it's a medicinal class. It's about like the organs, but from a just an elevated idea, right?
Hmm.
It's one of the things that came to me. I knew it was right. I know it's going to change things. But our call today was about cellular biology and how the microcosm is sacred,
Yes, it is.
right? And the whole idea of like how beautiful everything is at that micro level. And it really is like when we can, I call them our shamanic glasses, when we can put on our shamanic glasses and really see that everything is sacred.
But not too much because that does weird things to your brain.
Yes, you have to be grounded. You have to be grounded and embodied in reality.
As humans, we can't take too much of peeking behind the curtain because it starts to unravel everything else that we've realized that we need to cope in this economy. So not too much. Like there are a few things that I make, like my prophecy incense. I counsel people to only use one a week. Don't go crazy with it because once you start seeing all the connections and how everything actually works, it tends to unsettle you and then you can't sleep at night. But there you go. Some people want that. Hey, I am not one of those people, but
Me
thank you
neither.
for playing our game.
I'm going to circle back because I think it's important. One of the things you said as you were talking to your priestess and how important it is, even though you're a teacher and you're a mentor to people, how important it is to always be in a learning space.
Yes. And that is because we as humans, at this point in our evolution, we don't really know how our brains work. I mean, we know how our brains work to a level.
Mhm.
However, the ideas of understanding the interconnectedness of everything that is, we try to use that information on a daily basis and we can't. Because if we realize that, yes, if we sneeze here on a call, it's going to affect something on the other side of the world, it makes you too, how do I want to say it? We're friends, right?
Yes.
We can be real.
Please, I would love you to be real.
It makes you too doggone paranoid to actually function.
Yes.
It really does. You become hesitant to do anything, even in the mundane. You wonder that if I brush my teeth, wait a minute, should I use this specific brand and support their footprint in the economy and how the world works, or do I support another brand? Just brush your teeth. Just
Yeah.
brush your teeth. Just get that over. But yeah, it's dangerous to try and take it all in, which is why I say only like put the shamanic glasses on a little bit. Only do this prophecy looking into the future only a little bit because it can just do your brain in and then I'll have to refer you to my therapist.
Hmm. Yes.
So, I mean, she might take you on. I don't know if she's got a room, but hey, I can always refer you to my therapist.
I have one, thank you, because I need
Excellent.
one dearly.
Fair.
No, I like that. I often feel for myself that I've chosen motherhood. So being a mother and having to navigate, you need to go to school. I need to deal with teachers and signing things and mundane day to day, the in and outs has
Hmm.
kept me grounded in like real reality instead of in those spaces where I'm connecting too often, where I'm diving too deeply into, I guess, like magical philosophy is what I want to label at it.
Exactly what it is. And
Yeah.
it's dangerous to become an armchair magical philosopher because then you don't do anything. you do absolutely nothing.
No. And traditionally, like if we look at traditional systems, if you were the guru, you lived in your hut, you didn't have to have a family, and you didn't have, your job was to be of service to your community. So
Yes.
you could deep dive into these things. You didn't have to have a bank account.
Yeah.
You were always clothed and fed because you were supporting your community. And we don't have that relationship anymore with our holy people. We barely have that community with just our extended families and our families of choice. Like, it's a struggle in our culture right now.
That is correct. And especially North American culture, where if you want to be a recognized guru, teacher, leader, your church, well, you have to have a church, and that has to be recognized by the government.
Hmm.
Now, I'm just going to say this. If you bring a shaman in from, let's say, Brazil, the things that this shaman are going to do for you cannot be recognized by the government. It's a bad idea.
They won't recognize it.
So, it's not going to work out. And even the things we do just as witches and like practitioners will not be recognized by the government
Mm-mm.
because late stage capitalism. Ta-da! It is the one thing that is killing us all.
Hmm.
But I digress because that's my little soapbox in this economy. Oh my goodness. How are we going to function in this economy? And honestly, that is a lot of what Beaux Magique is about. Is yes, it is boutique. Yes, it is all handmade. And yes, I do not want people to suffer. Let's find ways that we can magically get out of all of this donuts that's going on around in the world. So that's what I want. I don't want you to suffer. So I try to make things that appeal to the I try to make modern solutions to ancient problems, you
I
know.
love that. That's brilliant copy.
It kind of is.
Yeah. I call it boutique because it's handmade and your
Yes.
packaging is beautiful. But I buy your products. Like, they are not outside of a single mother's financial threshold. They are
And
reasonably priced, and a little tiny bit goes a long way.
that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I want to make money, recognize that a lot of my clientele are struggling in this economy and I do not like it. So I am trying to find ways to help all of us succeed and go beyond just prosperity and abundance. I want us all to thrive. And guess what? I'm dragging you with me, Jody.
Yay!
You're
I've had
coming
this,
with me.
thank gods. Thank you, cats. I've had this epiphany lately about matriarchal money.
Hmm.
Like, there's a story that we tell ourselves as women that we're not good with money. However, we tend to do more with less money because we are marginalized, because, and this is my soapbox, because we're marginalized, because we get paid less for the same job. But we have this story that we're not good with money, and it's untrue. We're fantastic with money. Often women can rub together two dimes and create a dollar.
If not $1,000.
Right. So there, and I have so much hope for this shift of matriarchal money. I mean, we're all in the same economy. We're all in the water. We're all wet, right? We
Hmm.
can't just pick up and, I mean, I wish we could just pick up to Bali and live in the forest, and it would be beautiful and we could eat coconuts. But the reality is I love running water and heat. So here I am in North America.
It's a thing. I'm just saying, I like my internet connection.
Mm-hmm.
I like being able to like fly to my friends and not have to like travel across country by foot, which will take me, I checked, about 2 weeks.
Well,
I checked. I always check to see how long it would take. If I decided to walk from Ontario to Vancouver, it would take about 2 weeks to walk.
wow.
Now, if we think about this in perspective of, you know, I mean, I want to say once upon a time, but it's actually back in the day when we were the gurus on the outskirts of the towns, the hedge witches, the old man or old woman on the edge of the village who never came in the village but suddenly knew everybody's business, but magically when pressed never knew anything. I don't
Mhm.
know. You know, we don't have that person anymore. And
Yeah.
remember, we can't get to the people we need to help, and those people cannot get to us anymore. I am not going to ask some single mom to like trek all the way to my house in the woods in Huntsville to buy my stuff. I can't do that. I can't ask that of them.
Right.
I can't. Like I wanted to be a mom, but that's not my calling. My calling is to be the priestess you need. Even if you don't want me, that's fine.
Mm.
You got to call me when you need me. And
I love
always
that.
remember that on the other side of that is that at some point in time, you're all going to graduate from no longer needing me. That's when I'm going to need you.
I love
So,
that in so many ways. I love the idea because I carry that as well, that anyone I teach, I want you to eventually not need me. I want what I bring to the table to be your stepping stone to go further than I can go.
yes.
Because that's what we're here to do. We're here to elevate. Take my wisdom, start with my wisdom as your zero, and go forward and evolve into the beautiful being you're here to be.
Hmm.
And and just thinking about like the way our culture works now, like I don't want to charge everyone in the world for what I have to offer. That's why I have a podcast. All of this is free. One day a network will pay me lots and lots of commercials so that you can get this information free, because I think it's important that we have access to wisdom and to teachers and to healers. I love
Hmm.
that. And I love the way you own that you are the healer that people need, and it is not always what they want.
Oh no, no. I assure you there are people who roll their eyes as soon as I walk into a room. Because like, oh, here we go. And I'm like, I don't want this job any more than you do, but guess what? I'm suited for it. And it's taken me, oh my goodness, 2023. So I came out of the broom closet in 2004. So next year will be 20 years of being on this path. Trust me, we all know how to suffer.
Yeah.
We got suffering down. Let's try something else. Let's try something else.
So, do you want to share with me how you came to this path, my dear?
Oh my goodness. So, once upon a time, it is now 2014. I've elevated to being a first degree priestess with the Corellian tradition. They are lovely people. It is a well grounded Wiccan tradition that is all over the world. And it was my first pagan pride day where I lived. And I said, this is a lot of energy. I need Florida water. Now, Florida water is a well known cologne type spray from the States. You've seen it everywhere. However, every time I saw it, it was a tiny little bottle that had been sitting on somebody's bottom shelf for about 8 years. And I said, no, thank you. So I said, you know what? I can probably do this myself. So here it is. Now, remember, this is a calling, meaning I was not prepared, but I got dumped into the fire anyway. So it's the night before Pagan Pride Day. I'm lying. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm packing my car and I'm like, crap, I don't have anything to sell to get my money back from the table because that's allowed within my tradition. I had my shrine up. I had all the things. So I'm like, you know what? I have been fine. Let's just do it. You know, don't let's just do it. So I cobbled together 4 bottles of what will eventually become my Florida water formula. They were terrible, Jody. Terrible. They were in these crappy dollar store like trigger sprays. They leaked everywhere, and I only brought 4. So it's Pagan Pride Day. I'm doing a thing. Someone says, "Oh, what's this?" I said, "Well, it's Florida water." And they said, "Oh, that's great." And they bought one. That was my first mistake. So literally like 8 minutes later, the second one sells. Someone comes over and says, I heard you have Florida water. I'm like, oh, it's right here. And it was a beautiful woman who was struggling. She's marginalized. She's got kids. And I'm like, I am totally up for trade. And I got the most amazing carnelian. Oh, definitely worth far more than my little crappy bottle of Florida water. Um, and then, so that's 3 bottles, like in the space of like 20 minutes. Another old time friend, hi Tracy, comes over and says, Terrie, you have Florida water. I'm like, yes. She snatches it off the table, throws money at me, and runs away. My my next door, my neighbor at this event is walking up with money and sees the last bottle run away. And she says, can I order 12 of those for my store?
And so it began.
And so it began. Florida water got made, and then a bunch of other sprays got made. And then I was gifted a lot of things on this path. Now my anointing oils, which apparently are gold, I
Yes,
was
yes,
gifted.
they are gold. They are gold. I love them.
One of my beautiful friends, who's a printer, he gifted me a box of 1 ounce Boston Round bottles. I'm like, okay, I'm also a magpie. If I see something, I'm like, I could probably use that. I'm just going to take it. I have so much stuff in my lab. One day you have to come out and just like watch your eyes bug out of your head. So it'll be great. So I was gifted with these bottles, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do with that? So they sat in my lab for quite some time. And then one day I had just an idea like, hey, how about an anointing oil? Because I can't, like, I have to have something else to sell once this like goes out. I did not expect them to be this popular. I started off with like 5. There are now 63.
I had no idea you had that many beautiful
And
formulas.
that's just the ones that have recipes that are finished. If I look at my book, which just makes me sad and gives me even more gray hair, the count is about 120, and probably will grow just with formulas.
Mhm.
So a lot of them are going to retire this year. Sorry, y'all, but I always keep the formulas. So if I like you and you bless my PayPal, you know, maybe I'll make it for you, whatever. But yeah, so that's how it started. And then I started doing my research. Like, okay, now hoodoo has been around for a long time. As long as there was slavery,
Yeah,
there's some kind of folk magic that's happening.
100%.
So I did a lot of reading and a lot of research until I needed bifocals. Um, and I don't care. And I realized that there are a lot of things that were made in various hoodoo practices all over the United States that could help people today.
Wow.
So, and then I had to research why we use those things. Now, remember that when you're working in hoodoo, our primary goal is survival of women, survival of children, and those in marginalized cultures.
And those are the people right now in our culture in North America that need the most help. They are being actively attacked
Yes.
by our governments and by our legislation.
And it has been proven across many studies that if you want to grow your economy, you invest in women,
You do.
because you could give me $1,
Mm-hmm.
stand back and watch me make this 1 million.
Yes. And when women have money and resource, we bring the community with us.
Yep.
We are much more long visioned, right?
Because we
Like
think, yeah,
the Canadian First Nations, a lot of the chiefs and the warriors have power, but the grandmothers have veto rights.
yeah, we think in generations.
Yes.
We don't think in, what's going to happen year over year, what's going to happen generation over generation. My goal is that for all the work that I'm doing right now, and maybe one or two generations, I'm going to see an elevation of people's children's, people's businesses, the
Mhm.
practices they have. That is my job, to help lay a better foundation so that we can change the world. And why not?
Well, yeah, that's what we're
Why
here to
not?
do.
So yeah, I do a lot of research, I read a lot of books, so many podcasts, so many times I had to get a whole laser printer because I kept printing out things because, like websites sometimes disappear. So you
Yes.
got to like print
Mhm.
it, go to the Internet Archive, pray that it's still there. And there's a lot of stuff. So now I'm still doing my sprays. I'm doing the anointing oils. Now we have soaps. And the idea behind the soaps are, we are washing away the things that block you,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
you
what I
know.
did I'm not actively making soap right now. I just have too much stuff going on.
That's fair.
But I love the alchemistry in soap because you're actually changing the oils and the sodium hydroxide into a different substance, and it just
Yes.
feels so like I feel like Gargamel from the Smurfs when I'm in.
You are creating a cosmos.
Yes.
That's what you're doing. And you're literally imbuing it with your own life force.
Mhm.
You've created a mini universe,
Yes.
right?
I love it. I'm
And
going to think about all art like that. You are creating a cosmos because we are.
yeah,
Oh, that's my new mantra.
as humans, we don't know any other way to be, because literally whatever we are passionate about, we make it our entire world until it becomes a world of its own.
Oh, that's such a beautiful truth.
It is. It's how we work. I mean, we glorify and revere all of these artists,
Mm.
but that's what they are doing. And now we're finally getting to a point in our collective culture that we're recognizing that anything that we are super passionate about becomes art,
Yes.
becomes complete art.
Mhm.
So I'm making the soaps, I'm making the sprays, I'm doing powders now. I'm
Ooh.
finally getting into the incense. Oh, God's help me, the incense.
Is
Um,
it finicky?
it can be, however, so there was minding my business, and the gods are like, "Psst, here we go. I got a great idea." So now I have this idea. Now I'm aging incense.
Oh,
It's kind of terrifying. If the regular prophecy incense sticks only burn one a week, the aged incense it's one a month, because I have made it, hand ground it, hand rolled it, aged it in my own sacred space in a test tube for usually 6 months. Once it's gone, it's gone. And that's why it's going to be expensive. There you go.
but
But
but it's what you're imbuing into it. Like it's like
it's
when you
literal
get
magic.
and like aged whiskey costs more than Crown Royal, right?
Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. E- Even the barrels that they've aged whiskey in are more expensive than the Crown Royal.
Yes.
The barrels themselves.
Yes.
Like, can you imagine if I got my hands on one of those things?
Mm.
It
Be
it
careful what you manifest, love. Be careful what you start
I'm
manifesting.
already there. I am already there, because yeah, witch life.
Yeah.
Hashtag that's what we do.
Hashtag.
So yeah,
There's
so
gotta be a
I'm
meme with like a woman on her doorstep and some random thing showing up. Hashtag be
witch
careful
life.
what you manifest.
Yep, witch life. Because it's like that.
Hmm.
I was telling my therapist I was recently at a wedding, um, and I'm awakened in the middle of the night, and the gods have decided that they need to audit my witch box. I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, okay, your spirits, off you go. You can go through me. Read the box, like, no, dump it out. So I dump out my witch box, and I do not pass muster. Look at that, boys and girls. Terry failed at something. So now I now have like a 4-page list of things that needs to be in my wish box,
Yeah.
only miniaturized. And I'm like, well, everything I have right now does not work. So y'all gonna have to come up with a box.
Like I find it an interesting, I don't know if I want to call it a contract or a relationship, but when we're doing big work, like work that changes things and the relationships we have with our helpers, it's not a choice to change things when they ask. I mean, you could
It's
try to
not
not
asking.
do.
It's not even asking. It's like, we're letting you know this is going to happen, but I'm
Mhm.
not prepared for it. Good luck. Wait, what?
It
What?
remi- it reminds me when I ask my kids something and then they look at me and I'm like, that's not a question. Like, I'm being polite because I love you. I'm saying, would you please? But I mean, do that now.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, literally 2 days later, the perfect box shows up.
Hmm.
The perfect box shows
Yes.
up. And what am I supposed to do? So I got the mini incense sticks are starting to be making. I have mini bottles for my sprays that I apparently need to carry with me everywhere.
Mhm.
And now I'm terrified because what are they preparing me for?
Exactly. Because once you have your super kit, you're going to need to use it. That you're not being, like, yeah,
Donuts.
so much donut. But
Donuts.
also, I'm going to blow some sunshine into this equation, but also that's the relationship, so that when you see someone who needs and you have the skill set, your helpers will be there
Yep.
and complete the work with you.
Yep. That's really what it is. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I've looked at one of my witchy friends. I'm like, excuse me, can you be my handmaiden for a moment?
Mhm.
And they pop right up. I'm like, I'm telling them, it's no big deal. Just stand right here, and when I point at you, do the thing, and it all works out well. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like that, and that's the life I lead, and it's all happening all the time, nonstop.
Which is why we have to stay grounded. And
Well,
this is why, if you stare too long, it's like that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you stare too long into the everything bagel, crazy stuff happens to your
it
brain.
does.
You
It
have
does.
to just get a sesame seed bagel. Sometimes you just need Timbits. Like, don't
Uh,
always look at the
mm-mm.
everything.
You are absolutely correct. And sometimes it's like, yeah, I don't need Timmy's today. I got cookies at home. I'm all right.
I'm not leaving the house.
Well, and for me, I do want to tell everyone that to make sure that your grounding techniques actually work for you. Because like
Oh,
for myself, I got a fire moon. I am a Taurus. I have an air rising sign. I am a mountain. I am also the heart of the mountain. I don't need to be grounded. I need you to dig me up from from being buried up to my nose and like air me out.
mhm.
So eventually you have to come get me out of the lab because I'm just wandering around in circles going, it'd be a great idea. And my gods are like, yes, do it. I'm like, oh, wait, have I bossed too close to the sun? They're like, nah. And I messaged a friend and said, is this too much? Have I done too much? Is this too expensive? But why do I do that? Why do I do that? So now the most expensive things I have are now all sold and I got to go make it again.
But I like that. I'm going to circle back because I think that's very important. I think that there's a lot of information out in the world about grounding and centering, and that it's important to find your own recipe for it. I think that's the
Yes.
word I want to use. Like, there's a lot of techniques. None of them are correct or wrong. They are just techniques.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
have to figure out which one works for your energy, which one works for the way your brain works, which one works for your emotions.
That is correct. Because
I'm a
like
forest girl. I have to physically remove myself from the world and go to that vibe. I need to go to the forest. I sometimes, more than sometimes, I go to the waterways, and
mhm,
I'm very, very fiery. I have a fire sun and a fire moon.
my condolences.
Yes. So I need to find ways to chill myself the heck out. I need to create structured downtime or I will, and my rising sign's an earth sign. So at least I have that.
Yeah. And for me, it's the opposite because I am so structured all the time. I need to have my friends roll up, throw me in a car and say, "We're going. Where we going? Shush. Oh, okay. Give give me an ice cream cone and just like let me just be and just have a bunch of whirlwind adventures because I am in my lab all the time
I love
creating.
because you're a Taurus, you have the ice cream cone in there.
Hey,
Good. The sweetness of life is necessary for Taurian people.
it doesn't even have to be fancy vanilla on a sugar cone. Perfectly happy. That's fine.
The sweetness of life.
Just that's just it. But it's something I wouldn't give myself because I'm always working and I'm always structured.
Hmm.
So yeah. So that's how it works out. So yeah, so this is all the things that I'm doing and
I'm so grateful for your time. So I want you to plug all the things. So Beaux Magique is a website. We can order all the beautiful things.
yes, Beaux Magique is our website, www.beauxmagique.com. That's where I have all the things. Please stay tuned because I will have another line at Indigo Aroma, INDIGOAROMA.com. And if you think that regular Beaux Magique is boutique and fancy, oh no. There's even fancier stuff that I can do now
Love it.
that it's ridiculous and I love it. So if you're looking for the $25 bar of soap, that's where it's going to be. If
Perfect gifts for the witchy people you
oh
love.
yes.
And now, are you also teaching? What other resources do you have for people?
Sadly, rarely because I am so busy. I am hoping that my schedule works out so that come Samhain, as we go into the long winter, I can teach then. So eventually want to teach during winter and make and then visit people and go out and see people in the warmer months because this is how it works. Beaux Magique is only part of my job. Beaux Magique pays me to go places to talk to people. Being a priestess in person is my job. That's what I do. So if you would like me to come to your town, please buy stuff to
Or
locals.
sponsor you to come out and do like a TED Talk style thing.
I can do that, you know. I'm hoping to come out to Vancouver next year for 2 weeks. So that's definitely going to need a whole lot of sponsoring. Please sponsor me to come out, talk to Phoenix Rising Metaphysical Emporium, start the fun. Yeah, so that's what I do. Who's your friend?
Oh, this is my dog Lunabeth. As soon as I go on the call, she's like, "Do you know I've only been fed once?"
Excuse me.
Yes.
So, what kind of dog is she?
She's a Catahoula leopard dog.
Named to Louisiana.
Yeah. I try not to swear on the podcast, even though I swear. So if you do, I will just bleep it out with a weird guitar sound in post-op.
Yeah. You can literally record me saying donuts. I finally got a lot of the back orders done. Well, almost all of the back orders done. It's just friend orders that are left. You can literally buy it faster than I can make it. So, yeah.
That's a good thing.
Good times, good times.